China's leaders are trying to find ways to battle what many economists have described as a demographic, ticking time bomb. The country is aging and shrinking. 1 in 5 people are over the age of 60, which is the largest elderly population in the world. Pension and healthcare systems are struggling to cope at a time when women are having fewer babies. So can China afford to grow old? Our China correspondent Laura Bicker has been finding out.
This generation witnessed the birth of communist China. But while some are ending their lives in comfort, many still have to work until they drop.
Okay, I will follow you.
Grandma Feng shows me her room in an elderly care home.
You've got a little balcony out the front.
She's decided to pay for long-term care rather than rely on her son.
I'm more open-minded. There are few people of the same age who think like us, and it seems we care more about enjoying life. But I thought it through. I gave my house to my son. All we need is our 2 pension cards.
This home is touted as a model for China's future. Young people also live here rent-free as volunteer carers. And while it's great for residents, it's not so great for profit margins. Private companies have invested in this home, but it's currently running at a loss. So Beijing does need other ideas. These glamorous grannies in the city of Hangzhou have found a new career in retirement. As models and social media stars, they promote greying gracefully. China hopes more over 60s will continue working as the economy slows.
I think that is the right time, especially for us, because I believe I am one of the generation that really benefit from the country's reform and open to world policy. Then maybe it is our obligation also to promote our image to the world.
That image belies the harsh reality for millions in China. This couple in the rural northeast have no pension. They can't afford to stop working or get sick.
I guess I will become a burden for my children. They will need to look after me. I'm 72 this year. I think I can only keep doing this for another 4 or 5 years. But if feeble and weak, then I might be confined to bed. That's it. Over. Ordinary people like us all end up like this.
Like much of rural China, there are few young people left to look after the old, especially after decades of a policy allowing couples to have just 1 child. The rising ranks of the elderly are causing a dramatic imbalance, which threatens the future of the world's 2nd largest economy. It means China may grow old before it gets rich. Laura Bicker, BBC News, Liaoning Province.
Let's talk about Donald Trump now. Donald Trump's legal team pushing to get the judge overseeing his hush money trial off the case. They say the judge's daughter works for a political consulting firm with Democratic clients, posing a conflict of interest, writing, quote, "There is an unacceptable risk that the court's family relationships will influence judicial conduct." Joining us now, Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley, a constitutional law professor at George Washington University. Here's from the letter from President Trump's lawyers. It can no longer be ignored that Authentic's commercial interests are benefited by developments in this case that harm President Trump's penal interests and divert his efforts from running his leading campaign for the presidency by requiring him to prepare and sit for trial during the general election. The DA's response to the case was that the daisy chain of innuendos is a far cry from evidence that this court has a direct, personal, substantial, or pecuniary interest in reaching a particular conclusion. I lay all that out there, Jonathan, so people get both sides. This is what they're saying. Now let's hear from you. Does the Trump team have standing here with this concern?
Well, they have standing. You can bring this in a court of law, and that's where this belongs. It shouldn't be hashed out in social media. Attorneys all the time raise not just conflicts, but the appearance of conflicts. Some involve family members. Indeed, many on the left have long attacked Supreme Court justices over their family members and their activities. But with 2 weeks to go, it'd probably be easier to move the courthouse than the judge in this case. And the reason is that they are very reluctant, unless you have something quite direct and sort of unassailable. We don't know what they have, but generally the activities of an adult child do not prove determinative for these types of motions. That once that child is an adult, then they're not really, their actions are not attributed to those of the judge or vice versa.
You mentioned the Supreme Court, and it's true that the left has been furious about Clarence Thomas, and they say that his wife was agitating on the right and even like tried to make some sort of connection on January 6th. Maybe there is. I don't want to litigate that here. But Clarence Thomas has not recused himself from cases. Is that a model here for this judge to say, I don't have anything to do with my daughter's business?
Well, those attacks preceded on Thomas and his wife preceded January 6th, so they've been attacking him over her political involvement for years. And I don't even think he has to cite that. I mean, the fact that it's an adult child is usually enough. But the Trump team is asking to file, and they appear to be suggesting they have something more. We'll have to see. When you look at these filings, you're looking for direct action from the judge or direct benefits to his family linked to the case. That can be campaign contributions. It can be campaign appearances. We just don't know. But the odds are against the team in dislodging this judge.
I wonder also about just the court of public opinion, right? So we're covering the story. Others are covering the story about this. And in some ways, because President Trump has to wage part of his presidential campaign from the courtroom where he's required to be, there might be a way at least to get some earned media on this. I'll give you the final word on that.
Well, the optics are horrendous. I mean, this is a very weak case. In my view, it is weaponization of the system. And now you have these gag orders flying right before an election that could turn on the weaponization of the criminal justice system. So this could not be worse for our country. And I think these judges have gone too far with some of these orders.
Jonathan Turley, thank you for your thoughts this morning. We'll see what happens as this gets underway today. Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has signed into law a bill lowering Ukraine's draft age by 2 years to 25. Mobilization has become a divisive issue in Ukraine, which is exhausted after 2 years of war and heavy losses. Well, let's speak live to Alexei Koncharenko, who's a member of Ukraine's parliament. He joins us live from Odessa. Thank you so much for being here on the program. Your reaction to this now becoming law?
First of all, hello, and this law was voted in the parliament almost 11 months ago. Finally, it is signed. Yes, Ukraine needs mobilization, it's clear. But at the same time, Ukraine also needs demobilization because some people who are fighting for the third year already, and they are civilians in their previous life, they can't fight forever. And very important issue is determining of term of service for Ukrainian soldiers and those who want to be changed after, for example, 2 years of fighting. They should be changed.
Yes.
So this is a big question which is now discussed in Ukrainian society, how mobilization should look like, how demobilization should look like.
I'll come back to wider reaction in a moment, but how many extra soldiers will this actually provide? Because back in December, President Zelensky was talking about the need for 500,000 more.
Today, President Zelensky said that we don't have a need in 500,000. I can't tell you how more will be mobilized in the age conscripted in the age of 25, 26 years. I just don't know. But we're definitely speaking about thousands of people. But what is very important, we can't fight with Russia by numbers. We will mobilize 500,000, they will mobilize 1 million. We will mobilize 1 million, they will mobilize 2. They're a much bigger country and with a much bigger manpower. So for us, the most important is to have weapons, modern, effective, from our allies, to have a smart strategy, smart tactics. Only by these we should win. Or no other way there is for us.
But let's bring those two thoughts together, because in terms of public support for this, where are we? Because you've had President Zelensky, even in the last few days, talking about, again, the lack of weapons from the West, the lack of air cover, the likely Russian push in May and June. Families, ordinary families, will be alarmed to be sending their 25-year-olds to war, won't they?
They will, for sure, and definitely that's a hot topic. And everybody who wanted to go to fight voluntarily, they did it in 2022. So now we're speaking about people who don't want to fight, but yes, some of them understand that they need to fight to protect their country. Some of them try to avoid this. This is also reality. So my personal position is we need to have very clear and simple system when it is absolutely clear, for example, 18 months of service, you know definitely how long will you serve. You know that you will have rotations, so you will not be all the time on the front line.
Yes.
You know, you will have vacations and all of this. But once again, I want to address you and those who are listening to us and watching us now. Ukraine needs help in weapons now, in ammunition now. We don't have lack of people, but we have lack of support from our partners who promised us to be with us as long as it takes. And now it is not happening.